morning and welcome to Coffee and Chats. My name is Lindsay Giese and I'm the Executive Director for River Arts Inc. And I am so excited to be joined by Ellen Paul today. Hi, Ellen. Cheers.
Lindsay, cheers to you too.
Yes, we've got your beautiful River Arts mug that we only have available this year, only for our 20th anniversary, in blue and tan. So thank you for sporting that mug. I'm, of course, sporting got a little glare, the John Joseph coffee mug because we drink John Joseph coffee in Sauk Prairie.
Yeah.
Oh. Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How about you?
Yes. Also doing pretty well. Feeling better now that I get to sit and chat with you and call it a job. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So Ellen, I have known you for a very long time, going all the way back to my middle school days. And I have a feeling that you're probably as close to a local celebrity as we get. So I think a lot of people know who you are. But if you are watching today and you have not had the opportunity to meet Ellen before, Ellen, could you please talk a little bit about your history in the area and a little bit about your background?
Okay, well, I came to Sauk City, Prairie du Sac, to teach at Sauk Prairie Middle School in 1973. And I taught 7th and 8th grade English for 5 years. And then the 6th year, I taught English half a day and was assistant principal at the middle school for half a day, working with Bob Engie, who is my mentor. And then in 79, I became principal. So I've been here a while now. I'm not exactly a native, but
pretty close.
Yeah. I don't know how many years you have to be here before you're a native.
I've heard that it's never possible, but I today would like to say we welcome you into the native Sauk Prairie clan. Oh, Ellen, what I thought was funny is out of all the guests that I've asked to interview, you said, why me? Why do you want to interview me? And I just think you're just so humble and sweet. And of course I want to interview you because you're so involved in the community in so many ways. And I don't think you get as much credit as you deserve for all the wonderful work you do. So we have a lot to talk about today because of your involvement. I asked Denny Kahn, who worked with you for many years, if he had any questions for you. And he said, as you mentioned, you started, what did you say, 79? When did you start as principal?
In 79, yes. Mm-hmm.
And then, so for 28 years, you were principal and retired in 2007. Yes. And he wanted to know how you've been spending your time and energy since then.
Oh, okay. Well, right after I retired for a little while, for I think it was a year and a half at the most, I was part-time director of River Arts Inc. Yes. And I also, prior to that, did some work with the Sauk Prairie Star. Then it was called Sauk Prairie Star, and worked with Donna Staling, and started out as mainly proofreading because I love to proofread, us English types like that, and then graduated to actually doing some articles and taking pictures and taking a little bit larger role. Yeah, so that's how it started out. But then after that, I mean, I got involved right away with the Optimist Club and Sauk Prairie Theater Guild. And I guess I had been a member of Optimist before I retired, but so the Theater Guild took a lot of time, and with the Theater Guild, I worked a lot on costumes and publicity, which I love to do. I love to write newspaper articles, and just I was a mentor at the middle school for a few years. And yeah.
Well, I've got a lot of other. I know you're involved in a lot more than that now too. So we'll talk about kind of each area. But you mentioned that you did a little stint as the executive director for River Arts, and I don't know if you remember this, but we interviewed for that job. I originally was I graduated in 2007 from college,
Uh-huh.
and there was that. At first it was in an interim, I think, position, and then it became longer than that. But I interviewed for the same job, and you beat me, of course. No surprise. But I've kind of always loved that, like that I interviewed for this job many years before I got
Mhm.
it, and it was up against Ellen Paul. So incredible. What do you think the toughest part of that job was, of being the director for River Arts?
Personally, it was the computer because I had had a wonderful administrative assistant in Candy Sauer, and she did so many things. Lots of times I would handwrite things and hand them to her, and then she would make them pretty and send them out. Um, or, you know, I didn't really know very much about computers and what it could do because I had her to do so many things. And so I used to get pretty frustrated, because I hadn't used Excel. I'd taken a workshop on Excel, but I hadn't really used it. And so it was a mess. It was kind of a mess, but yeah,
Yeah.
but, but I loved it. I especially loved the gallery things, and I loved getting all set up for events and concerts and things like that. That's always been kind of a fun thing for me. I've always enjoyed it. I should have been an event planner, but anyway. Um, but yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and the board was fantastic. Pat Yankee was a fantastic mentor there, and
And,
yeah.
and after that role, you continued as a volunteer coordinator for our ushers for the big shows at the River Art Center. And even still today, you are my main go-to usher for shows. So I'm so glad that you've continued to be involved with the organization as a volunteer. So thank you for that. Oh boy, we got to figure out where I want to jump to next because there's just so many goodies. The Sudbury Theater Guild, you have been a part of that for a while as well, and I know that you are very active in the costume area. Have you always had that role, or have you fulfilled different roles in that organization?
Um, well, when I first started out, oh, I'm not thinking of her name. She was in charge of costumes. Jean Danowitz. Jean Danowitz was in charge of costumes, and so after a year or so, then I kind of volunteered to assist her, and we worked together, um, and I learned a lot from her. And so after that, it's pretty much been costumes, but also posters and things, until we got a lot of new board members who are much more savvy at all of that stuff than I am. So yeah, I was president at one time, and also was a treasurer for a year, and was very glad to get rid of that position. But yeah, so it's just, I mean, in theater guild you end up doing everything. you know
That's so true. Have you ever thought about being on stage?
I was on stage once with the Theater Guild.
You were. What part? What show?
Oh, it was um, Once Upon a Santa Claus. It was the author of Wizard of Oz wrote it,
Oh, cute.
and yeah, I was this head um, gremlin, or forest gremlin, good gremlin, and yeah, but I'm just not a natural on stage. Let's put it that way. So
I would like to see it. I'm gonna think of a show for you, Ellen. Although I so appreciate the work you do behind the scenes too, and in many ways that's even more important. So
I'd much rather be behind the scenes.
you also mentioned being on the Optimists and being on the Optimist even before retirement. If there's one thing viewers or people of Stock Prairie should know about our Optimists, what's that one thing?
They are a friend of youth. That is our basically our overarching motto. And that's we raise money to give away to um, student or young people in the community. So yeah, we do scholarships for through the Dollars for Scholars. We do 3 scholarships, all named for former Optimist members who are now gone, and so. But we raise money for Badger Boys and Girls State, just all kinds of things.
And anyone can join.
Anyone can join.
All right.
Mm.
Uh,
Yes, Lucy, anyone can join.
I do have fun. I get to speak for the Optimists at least once a year, and it's always a good time.
Yes.
And when the meetings are in person, the food is always delicious, and it's just fun. And there's always jokes that even if they're not good jokes, you still can laugh at that.
True.
That's a good time. And
Yes.
yes. Are you also working with the food pantry? I know you did that for a while.
Yes, I still work with the food pantry. I took a break kind of at the beginning of COVID, and then when they changed a lot of things, so I restock and I sign up often for this mystery job thing. I never know what I'm gonna be doing.
Oh,
So
wow.
kind of fun.
That
Yeah.
is fun. And you also are very active with Freethinkers Hall.
Hmm.
And can you tell me a little bit more about that space? Well, Park Hall, I guess. I don't know how the public refers to it and how you'd like it referred to, but can you tell me more about that space and all the fun opportunities that you can do in that space?
Yeah. Well, we of course have weddings and anniversary parties and um, celebrations. Right in March, I was going to have my 70th birthday party there and had to cancel it because it was that weekend that everything broke loose.
Yeah.
And but then we've had concerts there. Um, I especially like to get local people in, and so yeah, it got to be really busy.
Yeah, I bet.
Then I had to cancel, a couple of weddings with COVID and things, but
Is it open for very small rentals right now, or is it closed temporarily?
we have a very, very small wedding at the end of October, and they are just doing so much to sanitize, and all the guests will have masks, and except for the officiant who won't have a mask on when he or she officiates. So
It is
yeah,
such a beautiful space, and I feel like um, not as well known in the community as it should be for a rental space. So yeah, obviously right now it's a little bit difficult, but when things are opening up again,
yeah.
it's a good thing for people to consider for rentals, right? And for the concerts too.
We're really excited because we'll be hosting part of the art crawl.
Yes, which we
So
announced not too long ago. So we have the Sauk Prairie Art Crawl is coming, and then we'll have art vendors set up all throughout Sauk Prairie, and Park Hall is one of our sites.
on the
So
ground, yeah, on the grounds.
on the grounds, everything's outside. Yep, and beautiful grounds. There's a gazebo.
Yes.
Going back to your days as principal. So this has been a pretty crazy time,
Hmm.
and I do not envy principals or administrators at this time. It's got to be challenging to
Hmm.
know what's the best thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, but when you were principal, what were some of the biggest crises of those times? Like, do you remember any like big moments that stick out as like that you were worried you wouldn't get through them?
Well, yes. One of the things that I remember, there was very, very high winds, and they actually ended up, I think, calling it a cyclone, but it hit the northwest corner of the gym and peeled back the the roof, and also it really hit the art, what was then the art room, and peeled back then. So there was tons of water that came in, and it soaked all down to the first floor, in the main part of the building, and it destroyed the gym floor.
Wow.
um, so it
And it was during a school day, or were people there, or it was
Oh,
evacuated?
no, this was at night, and the thing was, one of our teachers, Dan Einhorn, happened to be there working in the tech ed room, and he, thank goodness he was there, otherwise we would not have known. And when the water started coming down, and he walked out into the cafeteria, and there was, lots of water, and um, so he called me, and my husband and I at the time jumped in the car and drove into town, and all of a sudden we saw a flashlight waving, and there was on Phillips Boulevard, a huge tree had gone down into the road, and we actually ended up kind of driving into it before I realized it was an emergency worker. So we had to kind of take a circuitous route, got to the middle school, saw all the water, saw all the damage. The art room had probably, I don't know, 3/4 of a foot of water in it, and so much was destroyed. So
What year that was?
I don't remember. I'm not good at remembering years, but um, we didn't have school the next day. But then we got things cleaned up enough that we could have school on the following day. So
Wow.
that was interesting because we had to reroute a lot of things, and of course the gym, and yeah. So that was interesting.
Yeah, sounds like.
But yeah, and you know, yeah, 9/11 was an interesting time.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So
We're so I was in high school then. So at the middle school level, for 9/11, were students aware of what was going on, or how did you handle that? Because it happened during the school day.
mhm. Well, it's interesting because my daughter happened to be out of school at a meeting elsewhere, and where there was a TV, and she saw it, and she came back, and we didn't tell the students. um, we wanted them to go home and be with their parents, and that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, another topic. So besides all of your involvement in the community over the years, I know that you are a very strong environmental advocate, and wondered when that passion started, and if you had some advice for some simple things that we all can do to make to reduce our impact on the environment.
Yes. Well, um, I hosted a couple of meetings at Park Hall, for Citizens Climate Lobby, and I was hoping to get a local chapter of that going, but there wasn't a lot of interest. So then I connected with the Sauk area Climate Awareness and Action Group with Tom Sullivan and Doug Morrison, and other people, and so I became very active. I've become very active with that, and I used to go to citizen climate meetings in Madison, but have kind of stopped now and centering on local things. But yeah.
I know you have solar panels, and I know that you really are hoping that the school can look for um, energy saving measures, but just other environmentally friendly options with the renovations. But I
Mhm.
don't know if they're like, obviously LED lights are better, but if there are other little things that you've done in your life to make those kinds of changes for the better of the environment.
Well, little changes are just, having rain barrels. So using the rain water to, water my plants and flowers and things like that. Um, I really have been focusing on trying to cut plastic as much out of my life as I can. And that's not a very easy thing to do.
Right.
But, you know, um,
Especially right now, I feel like it's one bad side effect of COVID is there's a lot of like single use things because you want it to be prepackaged or I know I do some online grocery shopping and I just feel so bad because I'm trying to make a safe choice for COVID, but then I
mhm.
end up with all of these plastic grocery bags that I don't want and don't need that many. So I try to recycle those and reuse them.
The
And
food pantry will take you any of your plastic.
Ellen, that is great to know. I didn't know that.
Oh yes, yes.
I'm gonna. Do you just drop them off?
You can, or you can give them to me, neighbor, and I will take them there. Which is some of my neighbors do that. They drop them off at my house, and I take them.
Well, that's great to know. And yeah, that's a very small
Yeah.
thing we all can do.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
love that. I feel like we've jumped around with so many things today because they're you're just all you do everything. So I really wanted to chat with you and mostly to say thank you for everything that you do, for being a part of our community. Um, that that time goes by so fast. So that is all we have time for today, surprisingly.
Can I say one more thing?
I would love, yes, please.
I love this community. Look at all of the things that have happened here just by people's generosity and love and caring. Everything from having a hockey rink to, the hospital. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. 6-8, all the people chipped in to make that happen. People are very generous with the food pantry, and I mean, it's kind of like you can't tell Sauk Prairie not to do something because they will do it, and
I
they'll do it very well.
Yeah, and I have so many people from other communities ask about how they can have an organization like River Arts,
Hmm.
and how we've grown over the years. And I'm like, I don't know about what your community is like, but we're successful because of our community and like
Yeah.
they support the arts, but they support so many projects. Yeah, we really are lucky.
And look at passing the referendum and
During COVID, it passed. So
also,
right, that shows what our community knows how to look forward and
yeah,
what's going to be best for the long run. I
yeah,
agree, Ellen.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me for a quick little chat today.
Thank you, Lindsay.
I'll wave from my back deck, neighbor. Nice seeing
Yeah.
you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.